Ellen and I will do the lecture. I'm going to focus on the sort of background, the history of the. You know what that is if you haven't actually seen it. It's one of the interpretation boards. Into it sometime if you've got some spare time, and you'll see a really good description, I think, of what actually went on. And industries, mining, iron smelting, copper smelting, tin plate, and this is a wonderful photograph. I think this is one of the best photographs I've seen of 19th century schools, because Sunday schools were the main provider of literacy in Wales. Sunday schools taught the nation to read. The Bible, yes, but I mean it's reading anyway, isn't it? So, around here, well, we've got two Copperworks schools. Our own Pembrey Copperworks School, Llanelli Copperworks School, built a few years before the Copperworks School here. Not an awful lot left of the original building in Llanelli, and they were non-denominational schools. They were superior, they were regarded as superior. That is used for the poundage, but if there were children in the school whose parents didn't work in the works, then they would have to pay just a little. But most would have been set up beginning of the night. One for girls, one for boys. There would have been some smaller rooms and an area for infants. And you've got all the main elements there of what you would find in the Pembrey Copperworks School, right from the beginning, including infants. The infants would be part of the girls' school. The building is very capacious. Boys and girls' schoolrooms, and 2 classrooms. The dimensions are given, about 63 feet. I won't go into all that anyway. But he says, on entering the boys' school, visitors were struck with very elegant appearances of the decorations and festoons, large enough to accommodate 400 or 500 children, which is phenomenal when you think of it. The girls' head teacher, Sarah Furness, she wrote that in 1858. It was a form that had to be filled in for the British.
Said she rose from being a pupil teacher all the way up to being a headmistress, and it was headmistress, not head teacher. It was very the mistress. It was, quite strict in those days. Right. Well, Matilda, I don't know whether you've seen the spelling of her name. Jay would have what you call professional education. So she would continue to learn grammar, maths, drawing. Map drawing was quite important, and of course she would have studying the Bible in the Copperworks School. It said Matilda was examined in these and other subjects, and in 1890, as a first year pupil teacher, we read, E. Edmonds and M. Bowser have passed fairly, but M. Bowser should attend to composition, needlework and writing. So she had to would have looked like. We've got the galleries, we've got the well-resourced pictures on the wall. There's the extremely well conducted and taught. So pretty good going, really. So initially, the children, when they went into the Copperworks, they were divided by age, but as you moved through the school, if you didn't pass, I said the story of her granny, who, when she left school, she was able to go around and sew and earn a living like that, because hopefully of what she'd learnt in the Copperworks, how to sew. There weren't a lot of jobs open to girls in those days. Teaching was one, domestic service, and then girls would go. We know his name. He is the headmaster. And then we've got this lovely photograph of all these boys. Religious knowledge, that was very important, because to the Victorians it was important to be moral. and you had your religious teaching from the Bible in school to make you a moral person who would most likely conform and do what you were told when you grew up as well as when you were in school. So this religious education was taught along with history, grammar, geography, reading, writing, arithmetic, vocal music, just for the boys, vocal music and mapping, subjects taught for the boys. This was a job of the pupil teachers. They would have, because you have to mix it from a powder. I don't remember that, and it was liquid when I bought these slate pens on the slate, and then the teacher would be talking. They also would be learning their tables by rote. So the majority of children, they struggled in school. Maybe they were not literate, maybe they were not really numerate, so they needed to improve. So the object lesson was brought into being. And this was based on the work of a man called Petzolowski. Timber yard, a snail, an oyster, postman, copper, all kinds of things there. And the idea was that the children would have these objects and they would hold them, they would look at them, they'd talk about them, and they would learn from them. This is especially good for science and the natural sciences, things like that. But that wasn't the case. Ideally it was, but they had this box. And this is a picture of an object lesson. So all the children, and this is kind of later on, this is at the end of the 19th century. So they've been looking at it on the table up front, so you wouldn't get to have a go. It's like a science lesson, wasn't it? We did experiments, you know. Grandfather, great-grandfather, yeah, great-grandfather. He went all the way to after the Copperworks closed, about 1920-ish. And the reason why it's on here is because at this time Matilda Bowser